Falsely thoughts, race, life's a twisted place. No time to erase.
I'm all right. I'm assuming you are a Bible believing Christian.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Do you believe in a literal hell?
Yes.
All right. If is hell torture?
No.
Hell is not torture.
No, I don't believe it's torture.
What is it?
Well, from what I've understood, and this is a bit of my own interpretation, which I will admit, but from what I've seen from scholars and people that are a little bit better versed than me, hell is a place that people go, that God sends people to go from their sin into a place of the gnashing teeth, the lake of fire, to be destroyed, to be their soul to be not like tortured, but to be killed off, to be kind of gone. And it's kind of described by Jesus in Matthew, and I mean throughout all the Gospels. But when he talks about it specifically as the bosom of like Abraham is like where all the current, he talks about where some of the others are, and then he talks about how like hell in this right now state is like dry, and he's talking about how like one of the people was like, "Can I please just get like a finger of water, just a little bit of water?" And I kind of went through that with a Bible study, and it was kind of talking about hell is this place like that. It's a place that your soul goes to die after the day of judgment, which hasn't happened yet, obviously.
Okay, so you describe hell as give me one second. Salutations. I'm gonna bring you up in a few minutes. Let me just talk to Cisco first. All right. So what you mentioned is that hell is a place where your soul goes to die and it gets
Yeah.
thrown into some sort of fire, right? Does my soul
Yeah,
feel things?
it could be like a metaphorical fire or a literal. I think Jesus used a lot of metaphors and like alliterations and stuff like that to make the point of that. But I think the overall point is that your soul goes to die there. Yeah.
Your soul goes to die there. Does my soul feel things though?
Well, you don't have a physical body anymore, right? It's where your soul goes to die. Like it's not like the physical body you have now. If you do have a body, it's not in the way now, because God never says that He's going to give unbelievers a new body. He promises that only to believers, right? So I would say like it's not like a physical thing now.
Okay, so the entire imagery of the lake of fire and the gnashing of teeth, that's actually not going to happen.
No, I think that is going to happen. I think that's how Jesus described it. The lake of fire is the place where your soul goes to die.
Okay, I don't know if you ever felt fire before, but fire that hurts a lot. How long is it gonna take for my soul to die?
I have no idea. I'm not God. He doesn't describe that, but he doesn't say it's eternal. He doesn't say it's an eternal like thing. The death is eternal, but he doesn't say that is. So that's how I would say that.
Okay, so for a temporary time, we're gonna get burned up. Hey, appreciate joining the team. We're gonna get burned up into this lake, and then what? Then our soul just goes away forever.
So yeah, it's what people always fear death, and that is the incarnation of that. It's the eternal death. It is exactly, yeah. It's a darkness that you don't want to experience because it's not something that you can. You're no longer in existence.
Okay, so essentially the same thing that happens before I was born.
I would say yes, but I'm not certain. I would say yes, but I'm not certain. Yeah, I think that's a good way of describing it.
Right. So I just don't exist anymore. I mean, that seems
Yeah.
like a pretty tame version of hell, but the part that most
Well, it's
concerns
not
me
it's
is
not
the
tame. I don't want to like. Sorry, I don't. Sorry to cut you off. I don't want to make it seem like I'm like this that. No, it is a serious thing, and it is where you go to pay for your sin. Absolutely. Like I think that's what the Bible teaches. I don't want it to be like this soft area either. Like I think death is that. It's very scary, and this place is that the incarnation of that.
no, it's not. That's not scary to me. Like if I die and I don't exist anymore, that's what I believe right now. That's gonna happen to me anyway. I'm gonna die and not exist anymore.
Yeah, but the right, how God is going to do it and how He's going to send you there and how it's going to be devoid of that, I think is the scary part. Because right now you have life, right? You have life, you have this, and so of course you say like, well, I'm not really scared of it. But when you don't have that, right, it's different. You have all the things surrounding life, and if you don't have God, you don't have life. And God allows you now to live. He allows you to breathe. He allows you to do all these things. And if you choose Him, He allows you to live with Him for eternity. And if you don't, you don't have eternity, right? You don't get that pleasure. that that great thing that God gives us.
Okay, so essentially, heaven is like eternal orgasm. I'm assuming.
No, absolutely not. That's a terrible way of putting it.
Okay, so what pleasure then? Like I understand what pleasure are we gonna have? What's the pleasure?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question, and it's described in a couple places. Paul describes it in Galatians when he's about to die, and he also the Bible also describes it in Matthew, the Gospels, and also in Revelation. We are going to be remade. Our body is going to be remade. The earth is going to be remade. It's going to be made anew, and we're going to be without sin, and we are going to have freedom from all of the things that come with sin, which are things like sickness, illness, disease, pain. All of these things will be gone because God is making that new. He's making you a whole new body that doesn't have that, because sin
Okay.
is the problem. That's the core issue.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're gonna get into like why we should even believe all that in the first place. But like, I think one of the issues is that I'm having is that even in the book of Matthew, it mentions that hell is eternal punishment. So,
Yeah.
if hell is not eternal, like is
Yeah,
so
I agree
if
with that.
okay, so if hell is eternal punishment, we're in that lake of fire forever then.
Yeah, because it's eternal death. That's what I'm trying to get to. I think that's where the
Okay,
Bible is talking about there. Yeah.
gotcha. Okay, so so the lake of fire being burned forever, that's pretty torturous. You want to say so?
So, okay, let's take a couple things because asking it in like a way of like it's torture. I don't deserve this. Why do I deserve torture forever? The Bible is making a point to show that it is utter darkness because Jesus describes it as darkness. He describes it as literal fire. I don't think it's literally going to be like an on fire place all the time like people imagine it is in like the movies and stuff because there's a lot of different points to it. But my best interpretation of it is a place where your soul goes to die, where you are punished for your sin, right? The crimes that you've committed, and no one is without guilt on that. And so when you say like, well, why do I have this? Why do I get this? God doesn't want you to go there, and that's what he says in a bunch of places. But first in Titus and in First Peter, he says, God says He is patient with all people,
Okay,
so
hold
that
on. Just give me a second. Give me a second. This like
yeah,
I'm still having a problem here. Like you're
yeah,
saying that this is just a place where your soul goes to die. I
yes,
understand all that, but it doesn't actually describe what is actually happening. That's the
because
problem.
I think that's kind of left ambiguous for part of the reason because hell is well, I would say that the main reason that that's left somewhat ambiguous is because Jesus is trying to make the point that you don't want to go there, that you don't even want to experience it, because that is how bad it is. You're gonna have to live with your own sin,
But
and
it
that's
doesn't
a
really
terrible thing.
explain. It doesn't really explain how bad. Yeah, he does explain how bad it is. He says that it's gnashing of the teeth and internal
Yep.
fire. But you're saying that it's
Yeah.
not going to be torture. If my teeth are going to be gnashed and I'm going to be burned forever in fire, that sounds like torture.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it's torture in the way that you're thinking of like modern torture, like how we hurt people and stuff like that. It's a deserved punishment. I think that's a really good word for it. It's punishment. It's a deserved punishment for the crimes that you've committed.
I deserve
And
to be burned
that's
for not believing.
I believe you deserve to be burned for your sin. Yes. I believe you deserve to be punished eternally for your
For
sin.
sin,
Yeah.
for the sin of not believing. Yeah, you see
No, no,
that.
no, not the sin of not believing. No, no, not that's not what the Bible teaches. It's because you have no way to absolve your sin. You can never get close to God on your own. And that's what Christianity says.
What
Is that
sin? What sin?
well, let me ask you this. Have you ever lied?
Yeah,
Have you ever maybe looked at a girl lustfully?
yeah.
And
My
have you
wife,
ever wanted to hurt somebody? Been like, man, maybe you haven't hurt somebody. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But have you ever wanted to?
of course.
Yeah, well, Jesus says that that is the same. He equivalates that as hating one another and doing bad. And that sin offends God. And since God is all just and all merciful, he has to punish that sin because nothing unperfect can enter a perfect kingdom. Right. And that's what in First Corinthians, that's what Paul writes. And he
All
says,
right, but the
this
thing is
sin
that
and this sin and this sin.
that's
Go ahead.
silly. That's kind of silly. Without lust, I wouldn't even have a wife. And
Yeah, no,
being
that's not
angry,
true. That's love. That's not lust.
being angry is a normal human emotion. And like and like what type of lie did I tell? How come that's not
No,
taken into consideration? Are all lies bad?
well, you can say it's a normal human emotion, but it's still an emotion that we're not supposed to feel, and that's what the Bible teaches. It's we're not supposed to feel this intense anger towards one another where we want to kill people. That's how we have wars. That's how we have all of these bad things like murders, rapes, all these terrible things that happen to people that are terrible that we inflict upon each other. And
Well,
also,
rape happens because of power, and
yeah,
murder is it happens for several different reasons. But what I'm saying is that
yeah,
when you say that we're not supposed to have them, like you understand that these are things that humans already have. Like
yeah.
we can't really we can control, yeah, we can control like our anger to not take it to a point where it actually hurt somebody. But wanting to hurt somebody is an actual normal human thing to feel.
Yeah, it's a normal human thing because that's all you know though. That's all you know. All you know is this bad feelings that we have. We have good feelings too. I'm not saying that we don't. But that's what you know. It's a normal thing. And that's exactly what the Bible teaches because we are born into this world with sin.
I know what the Bible teaches. I don't care. What I'm trying to
Okay.
say what I'm trying to say is that equivocating wanting to hurt somebody with actually hurting somebody is stupid. Like that
Both
makes no
offend
sense.
God. No, I don't think it is. Both offend God. Both
But
lead to the same thing.
he
And
made us
both,
that way.
he didn't make us that way. No, that's
He
not
didn't.
true.
Well, did he
No,
create everything?
he did. Yes.
Did he create our past, present, and future?
Yes.
So he created us that way because he knew we would do
No,
that.
he did not. And
Okay.
there's an easy answer for
So
that.
hold on. So
Go
how
ahead.
did he not create it that way if he created our future and we would do that in the future?
Well, it's an easy answer, and it's the same question to the question of did God create evil? No, he didn't. It's the absence of him, and since we choose that, right? Since we choose evil or the absence of good, right? Because evil isn't. It's like the hot and cold thing, right? Cold isn't a real thing. It's just the absence of heat. It's completely true. It's the
Right.
same thing with God and
Okay,
the
I got you.
absence of good.
Here's the thing. Isaiah 45:7 literally said that he created evil.
Yeah. So that's actually the Hebrew word for that actually is calamity. He creates calamity,
Is calamity
and
bad?
yes, and
So he
the
created bad.
no, calamity is bad. He's using a bad thing to create something good. And there's tons of points like that. In Noah's flood, he does something like he wipes out the entire world. He says that he covers the world in water and he drowns all of that. Is that bad?
Yes.
I don't believe it is because God is God, but he has a bigger point to it. We're not all knowing, all seeing beings, so we can't like
Okay.
just
So
say, oh,
what's
that's bad, right?
what's
Our
the
moral standard is
I
correct.
mean, yeah, I can I can armchair it. Yeah, like drowning babies is bad.
Okay,
I don't know
so
how it's
why
a
is
good
that
thing.
bad? Why is that bad?
Why is drowning babies bad? It causes harm. Babies didn't do anything.
So causing harm is always bad,
Yes.
all the time. Every single instance of causing harm is bad. So we should never.
It
There's no
depends.
justified wars. So it depends.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it
again,
depends.
okay. So you see how you just switched up though. You see this. You see how you're now playing the role of judge. You're playing the role of where God does. This is why the Bible says that no one can judge but God.
Bro,
Because now
I
you're
don't
shifting.
I don't care what the Bible says. You keep going back to it. I don't care what the Bible says.
Well, that's
What
where
what
my
the
beliefs
right,
stand. That's where
I
that's where
understand
the objective truth stands.
I understand where it stands, but it's not objective truth because the Bible has lies in it. But
It does
the
not have
problem
any
that
lies in it. That's completely false.
oh, it doesn't.
It does not have a lie in it. But back
Can
onto my point.
can a whale swallow a human?
Okay. So like I said, that's not a lie.
Can a whale swallow a human?
Even if it is a story, which I do believe those stories are literal.
Right, but can a
It still
whale
is true.
swallow a human?
Okay. Like I said, even if the story, God can allow that to happen. He can
I'm
do
just
that.
asking for a yes or no, bro. Can a whale
Yes.
swallow a
God
human?
can allow that to happen. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, no, a whale can't swallow a human. Their throats are not big enough.
Even if that's the case, God can make it true. So let's focus on this. Okay. 'Cause
Okay,
you're
so
saying-
God can make it true. Okay, if we're gonna go
Absolutely.
back to God can make it true, how can I just say that my God can make your God not true? What your
No.
God says not true?
Okay, so who's your God?
Olodumare.
Who?
Olodumare.
Okay. So where does your God actually perform miracles? Right?
He
Where does he have these things? Where does he have these things that he's done?
he performed it in Haiti during the Haitian Revolution.
Okay.
A
So
group of slaves beat one of the greatest empires on the planet. That's a miracle.
how is that a miracle? That's not what a definition of a miracle is. A definition of a miracle is something
Sure it
that
is.
cannot be explained
I'm sure.
through
Yeah,
normal
that's
logic.
yeah, that can't be explained. A whole bunch of illiterate slaves beating the greatest empire on the planet.
No, I mean it can, and it was because it's a natural. It's something that naturally happened. It's something that happened taking course of the world.
It
happened
hasn't. That was the
during-
first time it ever happened.
Even if it did, so just because it's the first time that ever happened doesn't make it a miracle.
And it
A
never
miracle
happened
is
again.
something a miracle is something that cannot be explained by ordinary logic, right?
Right.
It has
But
an extraordinary.
the Haitian Revolution happened once and it never happened again. That's the only time that something like that ever happened.
I mean, that, like I said, that doesn't. The Crusades were a one-time thing too. I mean, there's Christianity is a one-time thing.
There were 7 crusades. There were 7 crusades.
Okay, but the Crusades as a whole were still a one-time thing. There was only one time where the Crusades were done, right, during that time period. So we can't use one instance of something. to justify it. And that's why we have miracles in Christianity that are true.
Like what?
Well, I mean, for starters, the evidence that Jesus did actually rise from the dead. The
There's
evidence
no evidence of
Jesus-
that.
There is that is completely demonstrably false. There
Go
is
ahead, give me
evidence
that.
that
Give it to me.
there is evidence that Jesus rose from the dead.
Give it to me.
There is evidence that Jesus did those miracles in his in
Cisco,
God's name.
slow down. Give it to me.
Yeah. Okay, so there are over 5,400 manuscripts of eyewitness testimony doing that. Right.
What name one? Name an eye testimony. Name an eyewitness.
I can't name an eye. Okay, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Those were all eyewitnesses.
Who
Paul,
wrote Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John?
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They
No,
wrote
they
about
didn't.
their. Yes, they did. That's
No, they
absolutely. Yes,
Matthew,
yes,
Mark,
they
Luke,
did.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are completely anonymous, and even the church would
That's
say
not
so.
true. That's
The
actually
chur-
not true.
That
So-
actually is true because Matthew was not signed by
None of the
anyone. Mark
churches
is not.
said that.
Yeah, yes,
None of
they
the
have.
church-
Matthew,
they
Mark,
did
Luke,
not.
and John are completely like, bro. Have you follow biblical scholars on this, right?
Absolutely, I follow biblical scholars.
All right, they and Christian biblical scholars will tell you that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are completely anonymous. We have no idea who
They were
wrote them.
never. They were never certified anonymous that way, and there's reasons for that. The
Are you
reasons
sure?
Yes. They
All
were
right,
never-
if
they were-
I
they didn't
if
have-
I were
they
to
never
able
had their
to
name- well, hold on. They never had their name in it because it was a common practice that they never did actually have their own name in the scribes. But Luke, who is writing to Theophilus, right? We very clearly know that Luke wrote that because he was one of the only people that Theophilus talked to, and that's how we have the Gospel of Luke. Luke went around and asked all the different eyewitnesses, right? And that's how we have the Gospel of Luke right there. So, I mean, yeah, I absolutely believe that.
right, I understand that it's written to Theophilus, right? But
Yeah.
like that doesn't mean that only Luke wrote it. That you think that only Luke know a person named Theophilus?
Yeah, that's what the
ridiculous.
early church fathers believed, and there is.
That's what the early church father believed. That doesn't make it true.
No, it does.
Hold on, wait.
It does.
Hold on, stop. It's completely ridiculous to say that Theophilus only knew one person named Luke, and that was the only guy he knew that Theophilus knew. That's stupid.
That's how I'm saying that.
Theophilus clearly knew more people. You know what I'm saying? Like more
Right,
people.
but we
could've-
have the-
what
we
I'm
have the
saying is
direct-
what I'm saying is that more people could have given Theophilus those testimonies, but none of that is attributed to who actually wrote the Gospels. We have no idea who wrote them. The only thing we can go by is church tradition.
No, that's not the only thing we go by. We go by other references from other writers at the time. We go by other scholars at the time, and we also go by the early
And
church.
those scholars don't attribute it to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're anonymous, and every biblical scholar would agree with me.
To say that is just absolutely false. They don't say that. There is a lot of evidence to show that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
No, there isn't, bro. Like, there's no evidence to show that they
Go
wrote
ahead.
that.
Go ahead. If you want to know more about this from actual like theologians and other people that do that, there's a bunch of them. I mean, Wesley Huff is a big one. Inspiring Philosophy is another big one. They both have really, really good stuff on this. Bishop
Yeah,
Robert
and-
Barron has done stuff on this. So has what's his name?
All right, so and there's there's Bart Ehrman and there's Dan McClellan.
Yeah, and
Delta.
and Dan McClellan is he's a liar. I'm not gonna lie, he's a liar.
No, he's not. He's
Yes,
actually proved
no.
what he said,
He's not. There's a lot of people that have debunked a lot of the things he said about it. But
and he's
Bart
always
Ehrman, that's a
responded and
fascinating one.
he's
I
always
actually do like Bart Ehrman. I think
Yeah,
that's
and-
actually a really good point.
and what I'm saying is that Dan McClellan has actually responded to these with actual scholarship.
Yeah, and people
everybody just
responded
blocks
right
him.
back.
And he goes back and forth a lot with a lot of people, but he always brings up references and they never do.
Right, but he always
And every
makes
time,
it-
and every time they bring up a reference and he responds, he shows them where they were wrong on their reference, and they
not
have
true.
to backtrack.
no, that's
He's
not,
done
they
that
don't
several times. His back and forth with Inspired Philosophy was like that. And with Inspired Philosophy,
No,
he said, "Yo,
that's not true.
you got
That's
this
not
reference
true.
wrong," and showed where he got the reference wrong at. And Inspired
No,
Philosophy just
that's
never
just
responded.
that's not how it is. He didn't show him where his reference is wrong. He made many different points about the subject and didn't get them right. And that's because he points the claim as, oh, the majority of scholars believe this, and that's true. Well, that's not even true. A lot of them, he acts as if this higher critical scholar theory is this large thing that just makes all of it go away, and that these people agree, so that's not how it works. And that's not even how
I understand that's not how that works. What I'm saying is when it comes to a consensus, when the majority of people who are experts on this say, hey, this is what is most likely the case, then yes, that's what's most. They're not saying that that's what absolutely has to be the case, but from the evidence that we have, this is most likely the case. If something is against the scholarship, against the consensus, show your work and show the data that shows that the consensus is wrong, and none of them have.
So there's a lot of evidence on this. I've said that, and I mean I can recommend more people, but that I don't think that you really care about that. If you want to talk about specifically what God is doing, God is real. God is absolutely real.
Okay, prove it.
You exist. You have consciousness. You have
That doesn't prove anything.
absolutely does.
Okay, you exist, so Olodumare is right.
No,
Yes.
I'm not. I just said God. God in general. I mean, if you don't even believe in any God,
No, it's not. It's not the Christian God. It's Olodumare.
but you don't believe.
All right, yeah, he was removed. Sorry about that. He was removed. I think there was a Panther Claw, right? Did a Panther Claw come through? If a Panther Claw came through, that's why he was removed, y'all. Do apologize that got cut off early, but we're gonna go ahead and